And
Damn.
reloading that tab to make sure that we're live. And aloha, Manga Club. It's your boy Lohali signing in with this week's episode of the live stream Manga Club with the great, amazing Shae and the ever-present Jing Graves. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing pretty good here.
Pretty good.
Graves, you're looking a little shaggy. You might have to eventually get yourself a head wrap or something. I wonder if you have any.
Right? Maybe two.
Oh my.
Maybe I shouldn't take a shower before the live stream.
I do that every single time.
That way I get this bounce, you know.
I take a shower and a nap usually. And then Shae's over here just going, secret? Oh god, they're talking about hair and they have...
Is that your secret?
No idea.
I'm going to have to take a nap from now on before.
Yeah, of course. And Mike is in the chat. So today we're actually going to be talking about, Booktube along with mangatube, because we have with us somebody who is very intertwined with both of these amazing communities. And I want to pick her brain, because if I can get into the Booktube community and basically make myself the Harry Potter guy in the Booktube community without being super serious, I'll totally do it.
Well, sadly, there are lots of Harry Potter people in the Booktube community, so you would definitely not have that niche alone. So, sorry about that. Anyways, I guess I should talk a little bit about my channel and what I do. So, hi, I'm Shae from over at Shaegeeksout. I primarily am actually a booktuber, but I've slowly been morphing into a manga tuber just because as I've started reading and becoming more exposed to manga, I have just naturally and organically had my channel kind of start living in both communities. Because I would say mangatube is a subgenre of booktube, because a lot of booktubers do read manga, but not nearly as much as I do, and as somebody who exclusively reads manga, where it's just kind of this little corner of booktube that's just kind of small and niche. But when you're in booktube, you just talk about books, graphic novels, comics, manga, all in general. So I started out as a booktuber and have slowly danced my way into the mangatube community.
And we are excited to have you in the mangatube community because you're just such a bubbly, bright, amazing personality. In fact, when I was making the thumbnail, I asked, what can I put? And Shae said, whatever makes you happy. And honestly, this live stream, especially when we're with Shae, where we have a direction.
Stage left,
probably. I don't even know. They put tape on the floor.
Your stage wherever else.
And yeah, we have it set for stage left, and Shae makes us go far stage right, and it's okay because it's whatever makes you happy. So that's why the thumbnail says whatever makes you happy when we're talking about booktube and mangatube, because I think from everything that I've heard you talk about, seen you talk about, seen you tweet, seen you Twitter, I don't even know. It's
tweeting.
Tweeting. It's things that make you happy, Shae. And
yeah, I think that's essentially what my channel encompasses. Is I named my channel Shaegeeksout because I wanted to be able to talk about anything that I was geeking out about. So whether that's books, manga, anime, video games, whatever, it's just that place in that little corner of the internet where I can talk about whatever the crap I want. And I didn't want to necessarily pigeonhole myself in a niche in case things started to change and grow, and that's why my name suits well. Because I can sit and talk about anything that makes me happy. I mean, I have a whole video dedicated to me fangirling for like 5 to 10 minutes about Yona of the Dawn because I'm currently obsessed with it.
We found Steve, by the way.
Oh, you found him? Which one do you think he is?
Lazy Man Gaming. It's either that or he's at Otaku Mike.
Oh. It's because he's sitting here next to me playing a video game while we do this.
I can respect that. I can respect that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun.
So let's get all the really obvious questions out of the way before
Sure.
we dive into our usual conversation of fun. Do you have a separate TBR for your books and for your manga, or is it a combined TBR?
I think it kind of depends on the month. On my designated TBR shelf here, like the top portion of my shelf is my manga, and then my books are in the actual shelves. But I just have a small 3-shelf little thing right here next to me. So the manga's all across the top, and then everything else is books. When it comes to like a monthly TBR, I think it depends on what's going on that month. If I've got designated like readathons, I'll typically pick out something specific for them. But if I'm just reading and there's not anything specific I need to read for, I just kind of go back and forth. When it came to your challenge this month, actually, the Lohali 30 for 30, what I kind of did is I set aside a week's amount of manga at a time. It's like, okay, this week I want to read these titles because I've taken this challenge and made it so I have to read at least one physical volume of manga from my TBR every day.
Yes.
Because I do have a lot of digital manga, and I took Bizarre's 24-hour readathon that he did for his birthday and read strictly digital manga for that particular readathon. So all of my digital titles seemed to fit his theme, so I read those. And for your challenge, I wanted to make sure I was reading my physical TBR because it's growing more and more. I used to just buy as I was reading, but now there's a lot more that I'm reading at a time, and I'm placing bigger orders when I order online and not keeping up with it because I'm still also reading books and prose. So yeah, that makes for me needing to be more mindful of my physical TBR because I don't want it to get out of hand. Because I don't want to be Jin Graves and have half my shelves where I haven't read it yet.
He's probably read at least
I'm only down to 20% that I haven't read.
That's actually...
Well, that's good then. But considering the size of your collection, that's still like hundreds of volumes of manga.
I mean, because you're at what, Grace? 47.5? What's your total?
46.95.
46.95 times 0.2 is 939 books
There is no way there's that many.
that you haven't read.
That would be 20%. So yeah.
Maybe it's more like 15%. I don't know.
I mean, 15. I'm doing the math just because I feel like doing this. Times 0.15 is 704 and a quarter books. You haven't read a quarter of one of your manga? At least the other number was like nice and round.
I don't feel like that's accurate either. We'll get there.
Eventually, we'll find it out.
Anyway, it's still hundreds of volumes of manga, and I don't want to get to that point. So, my physical book TBR, I've been working on paring down as well. I'm not buying as many unless I'm genuinely interested in them because I'm working on my backlog of the ones that I physically own. That's not including all of my digital ones that I got for like free or $1, and I still have a lot of those to get through as well. So, all the joys of being a booktuber and buying everything that everybody talks about.
It's okay.
Huh?
Grumble, grumble.
Grumble.
Yes!
He grumbles about it.
The peanut gallery is commenting. Yes! This is making it for a mate. Steve, every single time that you comment, it makes my day just a little better. I like the sassiness. It bounces it all
He's
back.
pretty sassy every day. It just depends. He's not usually sassy at me, but he can be. But yes, to answer your question, when it comes to like my monthly TBRs, it just depends on the month. Some months I have it all set aside, and other months I'm just like, I'm gonna mood read.
I appreciate
And
that.
usually when it comes to manga, if I am genuinely excited for a volume that's going to release, the second it's in my hand, I sit down and read it. I don't even wait.
The problem is, usually, if it's something that I'm super excited to own in my collection, I've already read it in different...
But that's because you buy a lot more used manga than I do. I tend to buy new.
That's because you're so... All y'all fancy people. Looking at your new manga... You're budgeting. So actually, that is a good question.
I guess I maybe I shouldn't tell you this then. I got a really awesome DM this week. Actually, yesterday.
Should you mention that?
They never said I couldn't. There's a specific manga publisher that reached out to me, and they're sending me a particular volume of manga that I'm super excited about.
Oh my.
Yes, this is very true. I do know I'm not the only one who got this particular invite. Another Booktube friend of mine actually got the same invite.
So what you're saying is I need to go to Booktube so manga publishers reach out to me?
I'm saying you need to have a bookish or manga related Instagram because that's where they will reach out to you.
Dang it! I'm only in the lifting related Instagrams. This is the worst.
Gonna have to get around.
But it's funny because in that corner of bookish community, I have a lot more followers there than I do even on YouTube.
We're gonna have to have cards printed.
I have over 5,000 Instagram followers.
I think that's
on my bookish account.
Gosh, I'm so amazing.
Holy crap.
I would love for them to all turn into YouTube subscribers, of course, but I still have fun over on Instagram. I post every day. It's great.
How do you find the time to work a honestly exhausting job, because I know how exhausting hairdressing can be, run an Instagram account where you're putting out new content
Technically, I run 3 Instagram accounts.
Run 3 Instagram accounts every single day. You're a hairstylist. You run a YouTube channel. You read every single day. Like, I barely find the time to breathe when I just run the YouTube channel, exercise, and work. Like, I can't, like, breathing.
I did get my workout in this afternoon, too. I should say that.
And look at this. Showing us all up over here.
I think it's just when it comes to like the reading and the YouTube and the Instagram and stuff, it's what makes me happy. So I designate the time for it. I don't watch nearly as much TV as most people. I don't watch as many movies as most people, which bothers my husband. He would love it if I'd sit and watch more TV and movies with him. And it's how I actually deal with my life in a lot of ways. When I'm anxious about everything else, I escape into a book or a volume of manga, or I go take a bath and read something. And that's just kind of how I deal with my day-to-day life and how I deal with all the stress of everything. And thankfully for me, with my job, I do have like short increments of time where I get downtime where I can sit and read or eat or whatever I need to do there. And I do designate an hour lunch every day, and during that, I usually will read while I eat. I just kind of read while I do everything. I do listen to audiobooks as well.
I'm going to ask you about that in a second, but
Sure.
Triple R had a question.
Sure. Happy to answer anything.
Can reading manga be just as productive as reading an actual book?
Completely. It's just a different format for telling a story. That kind of leads into audiobooks as well, because there's this big argument in the Booktube community, which both Steve and I find ridiculous, and that is audiobooks are not classified as reading because you're not looking at it with your eyes. But then I say to them, well, how does any blind person enjoy a book then? They're not all going to sit and take the time to read Braille. They can enjoy it through an audio format. It is still reading because it is still consuming the same story. So just because you're reading graphic novels, comics, manga, anything like that, it's just as valuable as reading a book in prose.
And I think one thing that I'd like to add to this argument, Graves, I'll see if you agree, is I think, can you consider reading a book? It comes down to how you define productivity. Mm-hmm. Because a fantasy book probably isn't going to be productive compared to a nonfiction history book about the ancient Roman legionnaires. I mean...
But why on earth would I want to read something so dull?
Exactly. Actually, those ancient Roman legionnaires were a strange bunch. Anyway, I digress. I think it comes down to, one, what your definition of productivity is. I absolutely agree. I think that if you read a book, you read a manga, you listen to it, it's all the same idea. It's one way to consume... It's multiple ways to consume one idea. It's like if you eat your pizza by picking it up or cutting it with a fork and knife. Not everyone's going to agree, but you're still consuming pizza.
It's true.
Sorry, I've been kind of craving pizza. What do you think, Graves?
Clearly.
I totally agree. I mean, you know, because some of them you can get into the story more, and you know, get through it faster and all that. But I mean, I feel like it's just your productivity of what you feel like you're accomplishing. You know, just like right now, the 30 for 30 is kind of one of those things that sets kind of a milestone of, can you read 30 in this month? But I mean, some people are like, I read one volume a week, and it's an accomplishment for them because that's what they do, you know. So I think there's a lot of different measurements you have to factor in for it being a productivity for people.
I completely agree, Graves. So I guess one thing that could be said for this discussion as well is, when it comes to how long it takes me to read a book and how long it takes me to read a volume of manga, clearly the timetables are very, very different. My average time reading a volume of manga is somewhere between a half an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how dense and how long the volume of manga is. Like, the 3-in-1s tend to take me longer than that, obviously, because you're dealing with multiple volumes of manga in one bind-up. But I can read those much quicker, so sometimes it feels more satisfying and more rewarding to read manga, just because I can read more of it faster. But I do genuinely feel good and rewarded at the end of a book of prose, or at the end of an audiobook as well, because it's still that satisfying feeling of completing part of a story or an entire story, depending on what's going on.
Accomplishments.
So when it comes to like audiobooks, books on tape, the CD, the bane of my existence, because when I was younger, my dad wanted to get the Harry Potter books on CD from the library, and they were always checked out, always.
Okay.
Which brings me to this next conversation. Do you consider reading, or I guess listening to an audiobook at an increased speed a certain way around cheating the audiobook style? Is that an audiobook hack? Do you find that acceptable, or is that you're like, you got to listen to it at 1x speed?
Okay, so Steve and I, we talked about this in the last live stream we did. The whole thing is dedicated to audiobooks if you want to go check it out. But in my opinion, I personally listen to books at either 1.25 or 1.5 speed, depending on the audiobook narrator. What that does is, all that really does is it speeds it up enough to my normal speaking speed and takes out the unnecessary pauses, like the overly long dramatic pauses that I don't feel are necessary. Steve argues that they are very necessary and that everything should be listened to at 1.0 speed. And that's just how he enjoys his audiobooks, and we are of two minds about it. He tries to convince me I'm wrong, and I try to convince him he's wrong. We are just of two minds about it. So I personally do not feel it is cheating. If you go much faster than that and it sounds like little squirrels running around, I don't think you're really getting the audiobook. Like, let's be real here.
What happens if it's something that you've listened? Because I want Steve's answer on this one. So Steve, and let me know in the comments. Didn't call you Steven, by the way. I called you Steve. Don't worry. Anyway. What happens if you've already either read the book or you've listened to the book? Is it acceptable to go back and read and listen to it through again at that 1.5 speed if you've already completed it at regular speed? Do you think that changes the argument? Or is Steve going to tell me that I'm wrong and crazy?
He's going to tell you you're wrong and you're crazy. But I personally, like, the speed won't change whether I've listened to it once or not. Like, I don't feel like I'll listen to it faster just because I've already listened to it, because the enjoyment that I had in the first listen would be gone if I sped it up. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Because, you know, these audiobook narrators are essentially voice actors who are telling you this story. So it's like when somebody does a dub for an anime and they have to adapt what the animation does. That's what this audiobook narrator is doing for this creation of this author. And so it's almost rude to listen to it faster, in my opinion, because then you're pooping all over the art of this voice actor.
I will agree to that to a certain extent. I'm about to get a saucy, spicy opinion up in here. I think that there are certain books that when you purchase them from audiobook websites, you know the ones that we're talking about, they only have one voice actor that they have chosen, and they change voice actors for each book, and then you get stuck with the final guy, and you're like, this guy is terrible, but I need to finish the story. Like, they try to do the voices, but their voice always slips back to their normal thing halfway through a sentence.
Suck it up or read the book.
But I've already read the book. I just want to listen to it again.
Then suck it up.
Oh, fine. I do.
I mean, you could just record it yourself and then listen to it.
That would be weird. Telling myself a story.
Why would that be weird?
I don't know. Like, I've never thought about that. Like, so right now, to give you all an idea of why I'm saying this, I am listening to the second Percy Jackson series, The Last Heroes. I am on the final book. They have gone through, I think they're on their second speaker in this one, and they shifted readers in like book number 2 or 3. They shifted like right in there with one of those books. And then I also had to get used to another guy in the previous books, but I did get lucky because I got the good Harry Potter books, as everyone knows.
Now, which audiobooks do you feel are the good Harry Potter audiobooks? The Jim Dale ones or the Stephen Fry ones?
It's the Jim Dale ones.
Okay, we are of the same opinion there, so.
It's always Jim Dale.
Or is it an independent person?
No, Jim Dale.
It's always Jim Dale.
Always Jim Dale.
So you're gonna enjoy this. So in the Percy Jackson books, they talk about, and this is one thing that has irked me through the entire thing. Like, it literally, like, when they first said it, I was like, who are they talking about? Like, what are they talking about? What is the Earth Mother called? The Mother of Earth in Greek. Like, what is the Greek word for Earth?
Oh, Gaia?
Is it? Yeah, see? They call it Gia. Gia. They've done it in every single book. Gia, the Earth Mother, is like, this is wrong. This is so wrong. Instead of saying Cyclopses, they say Cyclopes. But they say Cyclops regular. I was like, this is stupid. I am so, like, I got so, like, visibly upset.
At this point, I would go to your library, like your physical book library, and see if they have a different narrator for the audiobook and just
that's the thing. This is even with the like, the voice, like, the reader switched. They keep saying it wrong every single time, and I'm like, have I been saying it wrong?
Maybe they're doing it for consistency's sake for the series? Who knows?
But I'm not crazy. Am I? It's Cyclopses and Gaia. Sorry, that was my rant about these books. Like, the first time that I heard it, like, my mouth, like, this was my face when I first heard it. I was like, who's Gia? What are Cyclopes?
I think Steve's written you a novel in the comments, by the way. He's been over here typing like mad for a bit.
He has. I'm trying to read it. And
you could totally send Steve like $100 and be like, will you read this book for me and record it?
No, I actually have been told more than once that I should look into like narration or voice acting or something, even by my own dad. Because my dad used to shoot like videos for people. He used to do wedding videos and like those video montages and stuff. And he had me do voiceover for him a couple different times for like genealogy or family history based ones. And so I would like narrate the kind of the family tree as pictures would come down. And he's like, you really should look into this as a career. So I don't know. My voice doesn't bother me, but I've never really been one to like change my voice for different characters or anything. So I don't know. Apparently I'm easy to listen to.
Steve said that you have a great morning voice.
Huh?
Steve said that you have a great morning voice.
Well, so does he. So there you go.
This is so sweet.
Sorry, we're kind of disgustingly cute most of the time.
That's okay. I have to, whenever I leave in the morning and Sydney gets to stay home, I have to give her...
They thought the other way then. So...
You have a great voice all the time.
Did you hear him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's what it is. Shae says that Steve has a great morning voice. Sorry, everybody.
This is true. He very much does.
I am slightly dyslexic for some things. I apologize.
It's fine. His voice like goes down almost an octave in the mornings, especially when he first wakes up. And I've always really liked that deeper timbre of voice. Actually, we watch Star Trek The Next Generation as we're falling asleep because it helps my anxiety like focus on something so I can actually like sleep. But it has these like deep male voices and they just lull me to sleep. It's the best. Can I just say that?
I think you can. I
Okay.
think that's
Me
socially acceptable.
too. I have to watch stuff.
And see, I don't have to actually like be watching it. Like I can totally like flip over and turn away from it because we've watched it so many times, and I can just listen to it, and it's fantastic.
Right? I fell asleep once, and I woke up, and it was that whole. I dropped octaves, and I was like, and I went, "Oh baby."
Oh.
Like,
oh, baby.
what did you just say?
Like you woke up. You were like,
Anyways, back to Booktube and MangaTube because we're getting far off the topic again.
We're still there.
we're still completely
We're
there.
in.
We're talking about
on,
deep morning voice. This is not
We're
what we
in
were saying
audio
before.
Did you expect anything different, Shae?
No.
And that's why you're amazing. We all knew what was gonna
Because
happen.
I just go with the flow.
You know what I'm really confused about? I have not seen OJ here yet.
Right?
I don't know.
I'm hurt, OJ. When you rewatch this, know that we are 30 minutes in and I am hurt. Because usually you're the first one to comment. And this time it was Mike. Flip will be on here in a few minutes to make some
Maybe Mike
sarcastic
killed him.
remark. Maybe.
But what other questions do you have for me, I guess?
So, Rerun Ransom, always with the questions, which I totally appreciate because it gets our blood flowing, our brains going. Mm-hmm. Do you think that slow pacing or a long start to a manga can contribute to the quality of its plot? Like having a huge build up. And do you think that can be tied into how certain stories are written in book form? And do you think they can kind of tie it? I added this last part on, but
I wouldn't discount a short manga series at all. Some of my favorites are actually really very short. But I do like long-running series. At least, for me, those typically end up being shoujo series that I like that are long. I don't tend to read a lot of shonen at the moment. I'm working on that. I'm working on branching out. I don't know if you saw that video where I tried some shonen and I tried some seinen. Kind of had a little experiment day and tried some stuff out. Found some I liked.
If I look on your to be
read
read shelf,
with somebody about that.
Huh?
I had an argument with somebody about that. Yes.
About me? About my video?
Yes.
What?
What kind of an argument are you having about my video?
It was the person that's not here.
Okay.
But we were arguing about how he made the suggestion. I told him, I was like, she's not going to like that. He goes, why not? I said, the other one's closer to a romance. If you knew Shae better, you'd know that she likes romance.
I do like romance.
She's not going to like this other one if she didn't like that one. And it was like, no.
I think I know who you're talking about. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, I do tend to favor plot lines with romance just because that's something I particularly enjoy. Like, my favorite seinen at the moment is actually a bride story. And that's not even overly romantic. It's more historical, but there's a lot of romance kind of woven into the story. And
so talking about historical stuff, like Lovely said earlier, about the Roman Empire or anything, a romance story would totally be your cup of tea with that.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day.
I'm also trying to branch out. I'm going to spill my guts and tell you about a series that I purchased this month.
Which one?
So,
I hope it's one I like.
It's one that I've seen on the shelves a few times. I literally jumped into it without knowing very much, but it was for a really, really good price. It was like $2 a volume.
Okay.
And it is, again, something that I would not normally read. It is a fantasy an adventure, and this is the part that gets me. It's a harem manga as well.
What?
I know. There are 38 volumes total. It
What?
was.
I knew you'd come to my side eventually.
It's still technically in my wheelhouse of shonen, but I don't read.
You don't typically like anything that has romance to it.
Yeah, like I don't like. Let me phrase it. I like a well written romance. I don't necessarily like harem romance for some reason. But I'm
Harem
reading.
romance tends to objectify women in a way that's very problematic, which is why I don't typically enjoy harems.
And see, that's kind of. I was like, it just makes the women feel
Icky.
and unintelligent. They present them in an unintelligent, kind of titchy light. But anyway, the manga that I got, it's already been on my Twitter, but Negima, Maho Sensei Negima.
Oh, Negima?
Yeah, Negima. Thank you.
I have the series for that.
I ended up purchasing that, and that is something that is so outside of my wheelhouse, like just from the harem perspective, that I'm trying to slowly work my way to a shoujo just for you. I promised
When
you.
you're ready, I promise I will recommend one that's not overly sweet and sappy.
Isn't Silver Spoon technically a shoujo, or is that still shonen?
I believe that one's still shonen.
Nobody knows.
But I will.
A Silent Voice is technically shoujo. I
Okay,
think.
I have read a
No,
silent.
that one's shonen, but everybody thinks it's a shoujo.
It's a shoujo drawn in like it has the shonen style drawings, but it has the
No,
shoujo
it doesn't.
style. It totally does. It feels very sharp shonen style drawings to me.
No,
instead
yeah,
of
that's true.
A little bit.
I heard the reverse in my head. So.
Don't worry. I was like, did I say that wrong? But it has
No,
shonen style
I
drawings
misinterpreted. Yeah.
and a shoujo story. But
But I would say no. Being somebody who reads a lot of shoujo, there isn't enough romance for it to be a shoujo.
But see,
Shoujo is sickeningly sweet 95% of the time.
oh man, like so it has to be a sickeningly sweet.
Usually,
Oh man.
Right?
not always, but usually. At
My
least the ones I
recommendation-
primarily read.
That I kept giving you, Lohali. My love story. I'm still
My
waiting.
love story is sickeningly sweet, but like the best. I absolutely adore it.
Right, high five.
Oh wait, I lied. I technically did read. Which one's the girl love girl thing? I read a one shot. That was a Yuri. Is that Yuri?
Yowie?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the girl one. It was.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yuri.
Yeah.
The only reason why I know it's Yuri is because I always thought Yuri on Ice was about two girls, but somebody was like, "No, it's about two dudes," and I was like, "Well, then why is it called Yuri on Ice?"
Because his
And-
name is Yuri.
Yeah, see, there we go. And then I felt ridiculous. It was some weird name like, I think my girlfriend might be a lesbian or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just
That's
read that.
actually turned into, like, there's 3 volumes that are all companions now of that
What?
one, I believe.
I just read the one shot of it that was definitely legally translated, but it was just I was like, all right, that's strange, but that's not terrible.
Okay.
And I've read one technically gender bender shonen manhwa shoujo kind of thing, Half Prince.
Okay.
So like I said, I expand my horizons, everybody.
I'm working on expanding mine as well. I tried a sports manga in that one. And
Haikyuu.
yeah.
An Assassination Classroom.
No, I've been reading Assassination Classroom. I quite like that one.
That's a shonen, dead
I know.
shonen. Though it
I know.
does have,
I said I don't read much. I don't not read it. I just don't read much.
Though I will say, Assassination Classroom has a softer art style than a lot of shonen, which I
It's
think
true,
makes
it does.
bridge the gap a little easier. Which is weird, because I never thought I'd be able to tell the difference. Like, pick up manga, and go, yeah, that's shonen. And we'll go, haha, shoujo. Like, Assassination Classroom, like, you pick it up, you're like, the name leads me to believe it's a shonen. And you flip through, you're like,
What I've noticed is the art styles. There's definitely a male style, like when it's geared towards a male audience and when it's geared towards a female audience. When it's geared towards a female audience, whether it's shoujo or josei, the lines tend to be a lot lighter. where if it's for a male audience, a shonen or a seinen, I always try to say shoujo instead of shonen, so I have to think really hard. And they're usually thicker, bolder, stronger lines. It's just really interesting to me as I've gotten more
Is
and
it
more
sharp
into manga.
or is it
Yeah.
fluffy?
Exactly. But yes, books and manga and my journey on YouTube, I guess.
It is,
Back to that again.
and actually, this is a journey on YouTube, kind of. And we'll come back to. I have a question saved by. I'll just ask this one just in case.
Sure.
What slice of life recommendations do you have for manga?
Slice of life. What are some of my favorite slice of life? Sweetness and Lightning is one of my favorite slice of lives.
Woot!
I adore Sweetness and Lightning, and it's ending,
Right.
and I'm sad. Let's see.
I need this to go all the way up to when she goes to high school.
No, I think it would taint the story at that point. So I understand why the author's ending it when he did, because technically he was going to end it like around volume 6. So he continued because he felt like there was more story to tell. But slice of life. One that's really fun that people might be surprised that I actually love is Oh My Sweet Alien. It's a one shot where it's a human man married to an alien woman. It's really cute, really sweet. It's just a slightly bigger omnibus. It does have explicits because the way the alien is animated is very mature. But outside of that, it's absolutely great and adorable and fun. That was actually a recommendation from Base Jalarin.
It's because Base knows how to save face with
Exactly.
these crazy. I got nothing. I was gonna
Great.
try to. I was gonna.
But yeah,
try to
I haven't read a lot of slice of life yet. Most of what I read have a little more plot to than a true slice of life.
Probably one of my favorite slice of life, if you can count it as that, from the shonen genre is Angel Densetsu. Sounds strange. It's a mix between like an everyday average boy. He doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have anything. He just goes about his life, which for me is slice of life. But it also touches a little bit on delinquent culture, which I love delinquent manga because it's literally this kid is so ugly. This sounds so bad. The kid is so ugly, everyone automatically assumes that he's a delinquent. Like, he's, like, evil, he's a delinquent. But he's super, super nice, super sweet, and super adorable. And he just wants to help everybody. And so he gets pulled into random delinquent things just because of how he looks.
So, there's a really sweet shoujo that I finished yesterday. And the boy looks like a delinquent, so everybody's afraid of him in this thing. But he is a pure cinnamon roll. He is the sweetest of sweet. And It's Honey So Sweet is the name of the manga. It's 8 volumes long, so it's not incredibly long. But Taiga is the guy's name. He, like, has the dyed hair, has the piercings, looks kind of rough, has gotten into fights because he looks rough. And actually, he wasn't allowed to go near the girl's house for 2 years because a cop, like, saw him after he'd kind of, like, walked her home in a sense. And so he thought he was a delinquent and, like, stalking her. And so he, like, banished him from the neighborhood for 2 years.
It's ridiculous.
It's really funny. It's really cute. I like it.
And the other thing to know about Angel Densetsu is the author and creator of it is the author and creator behind Claymore. So you know that drawing is minus noses.
Okay.
Minus lots of noses.
But yeah, I haven't read a ton of slice of life. I tend to read like the high school shoujo or the fantasy shoujo where there's a little more plot involved.
What about Yatsuba?
Not read Yatsuba. It's on my list though.
Woot.
I have to finish a couple more series before I get Yatsuba.
All right.
I finished 2 this week. I'm doing pretty good.
I'm proud of you. You're doing the 30 for 30. You came up with the hashtag. You are an insanely creative individual.
Well, thank you.
And
Right.
only speak the truth here.
I've just started reading, and I'll let it kind of fall into my lap when it ends, and then I'll be like, Why? Why did you end?
So, on to my question so we can keep answering questions about questions.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, you are an extremely creative individual. Do you think that reading all of these books, consuming all of this content has helped your creativity kind of elevate itself a little bit? Or do you think that the reason why you consume so much is because you're so creative and you like forming these ideas in your mind? Do you think one's the cause of the other?
I think they actually complement each other. As a YouTube content creator, we all strive to have content that our viewers want to watch. And so as I read, I latch onto certain things and certain themes in books. And so sometimes I'll make a video dedicated to a certain book that isn't necessarily like a review, but it's something tied to that book. Like sometimes I've done 5 reasons why you might like this book, or various other things. I've just recently started doing some first impressions for first volumes of manga in series to hopefully get people more interested in the series. But it's one of those things where hand in hand, as I've watched more YouTube and become more friends with more creators, I've noticed my content changing just because I want to be better and I want to be a better content creator. And as I read books, I'm like, these authors are so creative with these worlds they create and everything that they're doing. And even more so with manga because they're adding art on top of that. And so it's one of those things where by consuming both, I feel like it drives me to work harder to give you guys the content to properly represent what I'm reading. Does that make sense at all?
That makes sense.
Totally.
You like to create.
Like, I don't do a lot of tags for that reason because I would rather talk about all the things that I'm doing and reading. I would rather make a reading vlog than make a tag. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not dissing on tags at all. Tags are great and they serve their purpose in the community, but I'm just one who I already have enough other content that I'm usually backlogged on that taking the time out to do a tag and film a tag feels much more exhausting to me than to actually do something that's inspiring me.
That makes sense. Like I said, that's why I don't do pure tags anymore. I do, I actually haven't done pure tag really, but I like to take what's it called? I like to take an idea from a tag and expand on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
And like I said, I like that because I'm able to expand, like take somebody else's idea and expand on the idea and get my thoughts out. But there's also one specific way that I create that is not great, and most of my videos are usually one takes, and it's how I feel compared to well researched. So that I need to improve on that. But that's side tangent, obviously.
And that's something that you as a creator now want to work on. And I think whether you're a booktuber or a mangatuber, that becomes important. The more YouTube content that you consume, you end up naturally gravitating towards creators that inspire you, and you try to make better content because you want to be a creator kind of like that person. Like recently I started doing more voiceovers in my videos because I saw some of my other favorite content creators do that on occasion. And I'm like, I think I can do this too. And I really would like to, because eventually I would like to have a podcast of my own. And I kind of want practice at that. So.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll see if we can answer this next question safely, navigate these next waters.
Okay.
Safely. Are there any... I'm trying to think of how to word this so we don't.
We're in the Odyssey. Okay, go.
All right. Are there any creators that you specifically look at and say, this is the kind of creator that I want to be. This is who I aspire to be. And are there any creators, you don't have to name names on the second part, but are there any creators that you look at and go, man, I don't like the content that they put out. I think that it's low energy. I think that it's low creativity. They're just obviously doing it to try to get something out of this instead of creating it to create. which there's nothing wrong with, but you should be pushing the boundaries.
Right. There are definitely creators that I would love to like almost take under my wing and say, hey, you've got like half the concept here. So why don't you expand on it and do this, this, and this with this kind of content? There's definitely creators that I would love to do that. And if you ever have questions about content that you're creating, feel free to DM me. My DMs are open on Instagram and Twitter, so you can DM me either place, and I'm really good to respond to them. And it's one of those things where content creators that inspire me, one of the biggest ones in the booktube side of thing is Kayla from over at Books and Lala.
Mm-hmm.
She is constantly like changing the game. Like she even did a TBR based around a 23andMe test. So she took the 23andMe test, sent it off, and that's a test where you basically like get the countries that your family history comes from. And so like your genetic code, like where you're from, like how much European you are and all that kind of stuff. So she chose books based in those countries and read them for that month. And it was just, she does creative things like that. So she's constantly pushing herself to read things for a purpose, not just to read for fun. And I think she's constantly inspiring me to really look at what I'm doing and being like, can I make a theme around this? Can I make something fun and entertaining for my audience with it? And she's constantly inspiring me. Another one, she's very simple but straightforward, and her content is high quality, is Sam from over at Thoughts on Tomes. She always does a fantastic job. There are lots of manga tubers who really deserve a lot more subs than they've got. I mean, Lohali, you're one of them. Your content is always high quality. And another one that comes to mind off the top of my head is Laura over at Manga Hoarder. I don't know how she doesn't have more subs. Same with G. Like, there are so many that just deserve more exposure. And I think if I don't know, if you want more exposure, you always expand into a different niche. Where Booktube is much broader, if they started adding prose to what they were reading, or at least talking about prose, because I know Laura reads them, but she doesn't necessarily talk about them on her channel, that would help her have an audience that's maybe a little bit bigger. But I don't know. That's just been my experience, that as I've expanded into MangaTube as well as BookTube, my channel has steadily grown, and I've been grateful for anybody who thinks that my content is worth watching.
I mean, to point out something that you just mentioned, channel size. People don't have huge channel sizes, or there's issues with all of that. Like, Books and Lala has 64,500 subscribers. Yeah. That's absolutely insane.
At the beginning of last year, she had half that.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane growth. Whereas in our MangaTube, realistically, the biggest
in MangaTube, I think the biggest is it Swede or Lathis?
It's Swede, because Lathis, I think.
Well, it would be Swede or Code Provider.
Yeah, it's because Lathis only has.
They're like
1.
in the 10
8.
to 20K range, right?
Yeah, because Insidious. If I could spell Insidious, this would be so much easier. Insidious Suite has 16,000 roughly, and Code Provider has 49,000.
Oh, okay, so he's got the biggest then.
He is, but again, I do want to point out that everybody? So he doesn't just talk about manga. He talks about a bunch of things. Most
people who've grown more, they talk about more than just manga or more than just books.
Yeah, and I mean, to put this into perspective for everybody here, and I probably have mentioned this a few times, if you type in, like, if you want to grow on YouTube and make this something that's more than just
a hobby,
being a manga collector is probably not the way to go. Yeah. Because, again, if one of our biggest people, who's just a purebred manga tuber, has 16,000, Whereas somebody else, and again, this is for if you don't want to do it as a hobby. Whereas if you type in One Piece, you get Joy Boy Theories, you get Seth the Programmer, you get Tekking, you get O'Hara. He hasn't been on here in a while, but he's somebody that I discovered. But all of these guys grow rapidly. Like Joy Boy Theories is one of the smaller creators for One Piece theories. He has 184,000 subscribers, and he talks about theories constantly. You know, people on here, and this is a generalization. This is not a great. Shae, I know you're gonna help me word this properly once I get this out of my mouth. So
Okay.
thank you. I thank you in advance. It's not a bad thing to want to grow, but a lot of us are sitting here complaining because we can't come up with different content to talk about. When in fact, people are making 2 to 3 videos a week on one specific series, and as manga collectors, we have dozens, if not 50 to 60 separate series on our shelves that we consume frequently. Like, if we are running out of ideas and are not able to talk about these things in depth, then we're the issue. As collectors, we should have an advantage about talking about each of these series as a whole, as a small part of each series, and grow our channels that way. But we focus on the collection. We don't focus on the series. We only focus on what's on the shelves, but not what's in the shelves. Does that make any sense?
Right. So that's one of those things where you can start reviewing series you've completed and talk about the pros and the cons, why someone would like it, why someone wouldn't like it. You can dissect them that way and have these long kind of discussions about series. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to talk about volumes 1 through 10 of One Piece and talk about everything that happens in those series and what stands out, what you think will play a part later in the series, whether you know or not. Play dumb. I don't care. Like, make it entertaining. You can do lots of things to make entertaining content with what's around you. I mean, there are lots of people who, you know, a lot of people have started doing manga unboxings because unboxings tend to get some movement and get some subscribers that way. And I do think that all those YouTube cliches of like making sure you have proper lighting, making sure you have a nice background, making sure you're framed nicely in the camera do all play a part, because more people are likely to stay on your channel if you've thought out those things and you're not just throwing up content to have content. People can tell the difference.
Absolutely. And there's one thing. I'm going to be very careful how I say this because I don't want to hurt anybody's specific feelings for anybody watching.
What we're saying here
I'm already hurt.
Impersonal by anybody. We are talking in generalities because we want everybody to have whatever they feel they need to grow their channel or to feel like they're contributing everything they possibly could to the community.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And if Lee was going to bash on anybody, it would be his best buddy, Jen Graves.
Yeah, you know that I bash on Jen Graves all day.
Exactly.
That sounds weird. That sounds like we're about to be Yuri on Ice over here. Sorry, guys.
Dun, dun, dun. I still don't even know about that.
But so OJ, I wanna answer kind of the example that you brought up. The big reason why some channels grow and some channels don't is partially what you were talking about, Shae. You know, how does it look? How do things look when they're on camera? But the other thing that plays a huge role is the person in question. It's the personality behind the videos. Why does somebody do so good? Why does, dare I bring him up, for Neverworld, why does he have such a big following? It's because he's controversial. It's because he's larger than life. It's because he's ridiculous. Same thing with the Anime Man. Same thing with Flip, you know. Flip has created the Dadcast, which is a complete opposite of what this is. The Dadcast is ridiculous, over the top, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And you know that. There you go, Flip. If you're watching this right now. I know. But
which I'd like to add in there too. With part of that, I feel like it's because a lot of us don't know the ins and outs of YouTube to the fullest extent either.
Right.
Just like a big thing is even before somebody watches it, the thumbnail's a big thing. You know, the putting stuff in your description is a big thing. What you support is a big thing. You know, all this different stuff. And you know, when you have your not tags like that we do videos on, but the tag that you put to like when people are looking up the
Content tags.
yes, you know, a lot of us don't really fill that out. Like I had a conversation with Flip the other day. He goes, "Dude, I put about 70 to 100 tags on there," and I was like, "Well, no wonder all this is happening." You know?
Now, I think what Flip is doing is in excess. My average is between 10 and 20 tags on each video. But a
Yeah.
lot of them are like books, reading, literature, manga, graphic novels. Like I tag a lot of those big general things to
Yeah.
get me exposed to that more general audience. And then I do more specific things like Yona of the Dawn, Yona of the Dawn manga, Yona of the Dawn series, Viz Media. Like I will tag publishers and everything because you don't know if somebody's just going to generally look at a publisher and stumble across your video because of that.
Right.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's doing those little things, and I do use just to make my life easier. I use TubeBuddy to help me with some of the tags.
Yeah.
And they have a free version and a paid version. The paid version is like $5 a month, I think, if even that, because I put it on my card. But what it does is it lets you search tags. It lets you put your videos in order, make mass edits. It lets you do a lot of things to make your YouTube life easier. And I definitely sound like I am an ad right now. But honestly, when people say it doesn't,
TubeBuddy is great. I've used it in the past.
yeah, and I've heard multiple people who are YouTube specialists say, "Oh, it doesn't do anything." It doesn't do anything except for make your life just a little bit better. If you don't have to search for the best tags, you can find them. And you go, all right, this is what I'm going to use, and it saves you 10 minutes. Let's say that you get paid at your job $10 an hour, or actually, even let's just say this: you get paid $6 an hour, and you make, you know, that video saves you 10 minutes. You've just made $1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one of those things where it will pay for itself in the time that you save. You have to start thinking about. We'll do another rant about being an actual like YouTuber eventually, but
Right.
Another thing I do when it comes to making my YouTube content, I'll try to film like 3 to 4 videos at a time whenever I can. Like I have certain series on my channel, like my releases on my radar, or my monthly otaku favorites and things like that, where I can film them in advance. So as soon as I feel like I have enough content for those videos, I film them and then I edit them when I have time. And sometimes I'll schedule them to upload so that they upload in the morning and I don't have to fiddle with it before work. So it's one of those things where you just have to think ahead of your content. If you're just trying to do it whenever you feel like it, you're not going to have any consistency with your channel. Like I try to upload 3 times a week. Sometimes it's more than that, but my goal is 3 times a week.
yeah, absolutely.
So for me, that's a doable amount because I could sit down on a Sunday afternoon, film 3 videos, and edit them and upload them throughout the week. So it's just a matter of planning your content. If you're wearing the same shirt, no one's going to stinking care. Get over it. So you don't have to like change your shirt for each video or change your headband for each video locally. Like you don't
Or
have
change
to do
it 3
that.
times in the same video.
Right. Nobody really is paying very close attention to that. They care about what you're talking about and what you're showing them. And that's also why I do things like I only film my hauls quarterly. Because one, people like to sit and watch hauls. So if I can give them a bigger haul at a time, that's more entertaining for them. So I do 2 hauls every 3 months. I do a manga haul and I do a book haul. Because I started doing them together, but then I started having so much of both that the videos were too long. So I just split them up. And I also found that I have people who will come for manga hauls only and people who will come for book hauls only.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to separate them because that's what my audience wants. And with time and trial and error, you'll figure out what your audience wants.
I mean,
just have
that's
to say, y'all, I hate hauls right now.
Yeah, you've just put up like 4 in the last
It's like, and they were just sitting on my phone, so I was like,
And see, I would have like split those up. It's like, okay, 1 today, 1 tomorrow, 1 the next day, and 1 the next day.
and that's the thing is and Shae knows this. Shae and I are on the same page with this one. Don't release all of your content on the same day. Like, don't release your content. If you're in America, release your content at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. That sounds ridiculous. 2 p.m. Trust me. Thing number 2, space them out throughout the week. Don't do all of them on Monday, Tuesday. Don't put out 5 videos in 2 days.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
As we covered last week.
And that makes people actually unsubscribe to you because they don't like having their feed spammed with your content. The max I'll ever do in a day is 2 videos, and it's usually like 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening, just because that's how I need my content to go up if I ever have to double up. But that's so rare that it's only like, say I'd gotten like a special package and I needed to review something really fast, I would just put that up as quickly as I could get it. So if I had to double up on a day to do that, I would do it.
And so
working with publishers, you're on certain deadlines and such.
Yeah, and the big reason why 2 p.m. is such an instrumental time is the East Coast gets out at 3 p.m. So gets off of work between 3 and 5 p.m. So you put your video out between that time, and I always like to put it at the very beginning. So it's the first video that people get addressed to when they're getting off of work. It's not like they're digging through 6 notifications. My video's out at 2. If they're off at 2, they're suddenly watching mine. If they're off at, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, suddenly so many people have watched my videos, I'll get another kick from, it'll get pushed over to their subscriptions a little bit better than other manga tubers who haven't done that same thing. And so you usually want to post at, a solid mark like 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that. And another thing... Or you
do it first thing in the morning as people are getting ready for work.
Absolutely. And the only reason why I don't do first thing in the morning, and I might change that a little bit now, is because when I was working from 6 to 2, I'd get off at 2, and if there was a comment, I'd be able to immediately respond to it. However, now, since I'm not getting off until 4 o'clock at night, there's that whole issue of, all right, it's going to take me a little while to respond anyway. I might as well get that content first thing out Monday morning, since my last thing was published Friday at 11 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, Shae might appreciate this, the reason why I do 3 videos a week, but mine are completely different than what Shae does, right?
Yeah.
I do my big production video on Monday, so something that will legitimately take me way too long to do because I put in way too much effort for things that you guys probably will not notice. Sometimes for my sound effects, I will go frame by frame to make sure that it matches perfectly. Like if you watch the very first 5 seconds of Monday's video, the punching sound effects that I did, they're timed to be exactly when they're supposed to be.
Right. But that's part of what makes your content so good and why people like to watch your content.
Absolutely. And then my second video is what y'all are watching right now. A live stream with my friends. It's a great way to have people come in, have conversation, and I do this not to grow subscribers. I don't do the live stream to grow subscribers. I do it to grow and foster this amazing mangatube community. And that's why I'm always so hard on everybody on here. Like, I think that...
I don't ever feel like you've ever been hard on me, though.
Okay. That's because you know how good you are.
Because I grew up in a house full of boys, and I know what being hard on me is.
Right? And you also have high-quality content, and I don't want Steve to find me and beat me up for no apparent reason.
Oh, he wouldn't.
I know, but I appreciate Steve, and I want to keep him happy, too. And then on Friday is absolutely my more...
They like you.
And Friday is my more experimental videos. Like, it's something that I'm not sure if it'll be a hit or not. Like my Welcome Back series, that's fun. I'm going to keep doing that. But
I really like seeing that.
Yeah, it's me going back and rereading something, and I kind of got in trouble with somebody called me out on it. They said, "Hey, why don't you do more books that you own?" And to me, he said, "Oh, Smokey's here, everybody."
Hi, Smokey.
And they said, why don't you? Hey, bud. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's where I want. Thank you, Smokey. Basically, it was, you're a manga collector. You need to talk about the books that you own. And to me, that's not right. I am a manga.
Anything you want to talk about. It's your channel. It's your content.
Exactly, and it's also I'm a manga.
Whatever makes you happy.
We use the title and scene. I'm a manga enthusiast. I'm a manga lover who just happens to collect manga.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think mangatube has so much potential to grow. Like, we are right now in the golden age of anime. Like, season after season, we are getting amazing off the wall anime. I think that mangatube is eventually going to expand into the size that booktube is currently at. And who's going to take that spot, you know? We need to start looking to booktube for inspiration on how they do their videos. They have it figured out. Shae has it figured out. I am figuring it out. And if you want to grow, if you want to make this more than a hobby, you need to start looking towards booktube. You need to start looking towards other creators. Like I said, I watch fitness YouTubers. I watch Peter McKinnon for blogs. I watch a bunch of different things. I love Peter McKinnon. If you're watching this, which I know you're probably not ever, call me. I need to learn how to do your editing. Like,
and that's just it. A lot of times, what I've noticed with a lot of manga tubers, especially newer to the community manga tubers, they don't take the time to edit their videos and put that effort into their videos. They don't make an opener for themselves or things. Some of them do, but the majority of them don't. You can see the ones that grow quickly are the ones that put the effort into their content. A great example of this that's newer to the community is Alon Z. Have you guys checked him out yet?
Elon Z?
He's been on mangatube/booktube for like 2 weeks and has 200 subs.
How do you spell
Because Alon Z from like Doctor Who. It's ALLONSY. And I think he's got a couple of Y's on the end. But his content is high quality. He's already like digging into like one of his videos this week was the history of manga. Like the dude is already bringing so much to the community. It's insane. And he's just killing it and slaying it. So if you want a good example of somebody that's new and doing it right, I think that's the guy you want to check out. He's fantastic. Like, I watched one of his videos. It was before he even had 100 subs. And I was like, yeah, I'm subbing to this guy. He's going to be good.
And that's, there it is.
It's England-based manga tuber. He only recently started collecting manga. He's got like 2, maybe 3 shelves worth of manga is all. And he's already slaying it out there. Like, he's doing fantastic. I'm really excited to see where he goes. Because he already has like a mic that he's speaking into, which makes a big difference in videos. His camera quality is really, really nice. His setup is really nice. Like, he seriously thought it all out before he started.
And then I started with my phone.
Which I want to know who told him about Jen Graves.
He might have found you on his own.
I commented on one of his videos and goes, "This is an honor from Jen Graves." And I was like, "The hell?"
He's probably already been watching your channel.
Yeah.
Because he's been kind of lurking the community for a while, but now he's actually making content.
Yeah.
From what I've gathered from his videos, at least.
I mean, he only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
He doesn't have a lot. Yeah. He's only been in the community like 2 weeks.
But he started off in the right way.
He did.
He did. And this is in order that unless you started in the manga collection community, you wouldn't know if you hadn't been watching it for a while. And you can tell the difference. His first video was my first manga haul. Mm-hmm. Huge. And then his first manga collection. Mm-hmm. One video right after the other. And then how much does a manga collection cost? He is doing everything right. He's doing everything phenomenally.
He really is.
And we've had a double cat appearance.
Yes, this is Light Song.
Light Song?
Mm-hmm. It's a character from a Brandon Sanderson novel, Warbreaker, which is my favorite Brandon Sanderson novel.
You knew that, Lohali. She told us last time.
Yes. I'm great at remembering things, I promise.
So you might get some cat purr ASMR here with my mic. I don't know. He's purring pretty loud.
Maskio J, you're gonna get to your sub count when you get to it. It'll happen sooner than you think.
Now, I should point out, I've been in Booktube for 3.5 years, and I haven't hit the 1,000 subscriber mark yet. So some people will grow rapidly fast, and others will just be slow, and that's okay. That doesn't mean there's anything necessarily wrong with your content, but if you want to grow faster, you have to do things that the people who are growing faster are doing.
Yeah, and you have to
invest in a camera that's not on your phone, or not film with your front-facing camera. You film with the back and make sure you're centered before you jump in. You just have to take that time to make sure your quality is high, because what people want on YouTube is high quality videos.
Yeah, and I mean, if you don't have high quality,
How much does
If
manga
your
cost?
production quality is low, your sub
it is.
growth will be slower.
I mean, yeah. It's also, how do you
Hi
engage
guys,
the
welcome
community?
to a new video of
Uh-huh.
mine. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to all the
You have
people
to
that
engage
have...
the community. Book Twitter is a huge thing. You need to participate if you want to grow. Or Manga Twitter, as it is also known. You can join Discord chats if you want, but I hear Discord chats are kind of dying for the manga community. Most of us aren't really doing that, but most people are hanging out on Twitter.
And
Or
then
Instagram.
And then there are
Or
people like
Instagram.
me who are just who
Lurk
know
in the background, and it's okay.
you know where I'm at. You know, if I'm like
Some of us just like to stand in the corner and watch everybody else play. It's okay.
somebody starts commenting, I'm like, listen guys, I already don't text my like people that I've known for 20 years back within 5 days.
It's funny because like my friends from growing up, I don't talk to them nearly as much as I talk to most of the people here in the community.
I'm just terrible
But
at
those
communication.
people are engaging me, where my friends are busy and they're not engaging me either, and so I don't necessarily feel bad for not engaging them back.
Yeah.
I engage the people that engage me, or people I want to engage.
And it's just, oh god, I'm yawning. Okay. All right. Sorry, had to yawn, everybody.
Hi guys.
And
make me yawn.
yeah, also another thing that is happening properly is hashtags. You got to start using hashtags in your tags,
It's so
everybody.
true.
I think also it's just our community in general. You know that you're doing everything right if when you pop on, everybody automatically says hi to you, and whenever we do like shout outs and all that other stuff, when people put you in there and make sure that you're in there, you know.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's pretty cool. And like I said, one of my favorite things right now
Aloha.
that got to
Locally,
happen with
signing
me
in with my manga collection.
was my manga collection video, because I hit I'm so far at 2.8 thousand views,
There you go.
and I'm really
And see,
excited.
I will
about that.
do like my whole entire library tour when I hit 1,000 subs. That's what I've promised my viewers. So they will get not only my manga collection, but they will get all of my books as well. So it's going to be an extensive project.
Oh, I have a few.
It will probably be a 4 or 5 video series because my library is that large.
You have a huge library, girl. Girl, your library
That's
is like
when you
the
hit what?
biggest.
Mine's not the biggest. I mean,
that when you
Laura
hit
over
1,000?
Manga Hoarder puts mine to shame. Jen Graves' collection puts mine to shame.
Jim Graves' collection is ridiculous. Graves, I love you, but that is a
You're gonna make me
ridiculous
blush.
collection. When I reach, you know what? I'm gonna put this out here. I'm only gonna say this here for the hardcore listeners. When I reach 500 subs, I will put out. No, actually, I'll change that. When I reach 1,000 subs, I promise you, I will put out my symposium against Death Note at 1,000 subs. Guaranteed. You get me to that 1,000 subs, everybody. Suddenly, we will have my in-depth. It will probably be one of the
Your
longest
in-depth
videos
rant of Death Note.
of my anti-Death Note rant. Like, I will go into facts and figures. I will go into where the story went wrong. I will say why I hate each individual character. Like, this will be the most in-depth video you have ever seen in your life, and I will probably have to take like 3 weeks off of work. And then if I reach 500 subs, I will do a full series giveaway.
And Jen Graves will be in the background.
And Graves will be in the background. And if you get me to 500 subs, when I get to 500 subs, I'm going to do a full series giveaway. I'm not going to tell you what series it is yet, but it will be striking, and it will be something that I actually enjoy, not just something that I'm trying to get rid of like Rurouni Kenshin.
Okay. I almost asked you that.
We knew where that question was going.
Had to make sure.
You know it.
Gotcha.
Bizarre, you know nothing of the depths of my hatred for Death Note, I hate to say. The only one here who's heard me go on even a quarter of my rant is, I think, Graves.
I would say probably about 1/3.
Maybe. It goes in depth. It goes very in depth. Anyway, we need to be wrapping this up because I have to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning for a 10-hour shift. As much as I hate wrapping this up, because this is why I created the live stream. Like, for moments like this, for streams like this, where we are just one consciousness commenting together. Does anyone
I love doing both MangaTube and Booktube. If you ever want to explore Booktube or want book recommendations, just definitely ask. I'm happy to do it.
And like I said, I'm going to slowly work my way to shoujo, and then you will give me what you think is my recommendation. I will send you my manga list, like what I've read, and I will have you look over it and examine and go, all right, this is what he likes. This is a bridge.
Okay, will do.
Because like I said, I have not read a lot of manga. I've only read like 200 separate manga, so I'm disappointed in myself. But Graves, if you want to do your usual sign out.
I actually have one other thing that I want to add on to it too. So you guys know that we have the long hairs that me and Loha Lee support a lot, and I was watching some videos on YouTube, and I found another one that I actually support. It's the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. Basically, the whole story behind that is there was I think she likes metal or something, and she basically was listening to it, and a group of people came out and beat her up. And so it was only because of the whole thing of her being different. And as you guys know, in our community, that we are obviously all different, liking manga and being those kinds of individuals. And, I looked into it more, and I felt like it was a really good movement, just like the long hairs are a great, movement and everything to support. So I wanted to throw that out there for you guys real quick, if you can donate anything or whatever. But yeah, I'm Jen Graves. Check out my channel. Check out Shae's channel and everything for sure. To talk her into putting Steve on. And, obviously come back to Loha Lee.
I do our streams every couple of weeks. You guys see them on my channel.
I want to know what Steve's hobby is. That way you can do like a background on his hobby.
Maybe we'll do that. Our next video is going to be a Q&A. So you guys I'll put up the post about that so you guys can ask your questions of me and Steve, or of just Steve. And as long as they are appropriate, he promises to answer them.
Yeah.
We can agree to that. Shae, if you want to do, tell everyone where they can find you.
Of course. So you guys can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Shaegeeksout. Thanks again for coming and listening and just being great commenters, and sub to both of these guys if you haven't. I really enjoy their content.
Shae, thank you so much for being on. We rambled, we talked, we gave advice, we laughed, we hated on Death Note. It was a great live stream.
And if they have further questions about Booktube, MangaTube, maybe the balance that I keep with that, feel free to DM me or ask.
And she is an amazing person to do that with, because she's just simply she is simply Shae Geeks.
Simply
out.
Shae.
And whatever you like.
No, that's simply G. I'm just Shae.
Yep. And whatever you like, we're here for. Thank you guys so much for being on. Next week is going to be a little different. I will not be doing a Wednesday live stream. I am celebrating my father's birthday by going to the Red Green Show in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh, fun! Oh my gosh, Red Green, my heart and my childhood.
Tickets were expensive, not gonna lie. They were like
Oh,
super
I'm
pricey.
sure they were.
But I'm so excited because I want to see him live, and he's calling it the This Could Be It tour. He might be dead. He might not be, but why take that chance? That's a tagline for it, and I love it. If you don't know who Red Green is, look him up. He's a Canadian comedian. Hilarious.
So funny.
Amazing. So that's going to be a little bit different. Monday is my manga haul. While it wasn't a huge haul, I did get some things. If you know what I'm saying. I don't know why I'm winking. And
Did you get
this Friday,
Regimo? Don't you lie to me.
And like I said, it's going to be really, really interesting. But as always, thank you guys so much for being here. For everyone new and old, welcome and welcome back. It's your boy Lohali, signing out.